Good day, everybody. How are you today? It's Patricia coming to you live from San Francisco. I am here today with a really special guest, but before we get started with the show today, let me tell you a little bit about who I am and what Traefik Online Meetups are. So I'm Patricia Dugan, head of community for Containers, managing our beautiful community of Traefik and Mesh. And I help create marketing and other things that help bring education and basically showcase the ways that developers are using Traefik and helping them to use Traefik in great ways to empower ease of use in edge routing and ingress and stuff throughout companies. And so today we're going to have a Traefik Online meetup, and this is where developers and companies showcase the ways that they are using Traefik within their infrastructure. So we have some cool events coming up. What I'd like you to know is that we are hiring, so go to containers.com/careers. And you can follow us on our YouTube channel if you'd like to see recordings and get notified when they come live. So today we have someone super cool, just my style, nice, like radical dude who's really smart. His name's James Pick, and he's the CTO of Your Labs. And he's going to present practice of extreme DevOps with Traefik. He's going to tell you a little bit about himself, but what I thought was really cool is that he started learning about programming when he was 9 years old from his uncle. So he goes way back, and he's like super committed to open source, and he lives with in a hackerspace, and he likes barbecue and cooking and live music. So like, why wouldn't you like him? So today he's going to talk about the extreme DevOps and how they're using Traefik. And you should know this, that James works with humongous companies like the French Social Security and EquaSafe and others. So now I'm going to pass the mic over to him, and he's going to tell us what he does, how he does it, and show us all the magic that his life has based on Traefik. So thank you for joining us today, and we will see you in the chat box. Good luck, James.
Thank you, Patricia. Hello, everybody. Welcome in Traefik Online Meetup, and hello from France, southwest of France, near Cognac, where the wine and other liquors are best, in my point of view. Just like Traefik, my favorite load balancer. I hope you can see my slides right there. So let's get started. There's a quick presentation about me that I'm not going to do, but you're going to be welcome to see about it on the slides that will be shared after the meetup. There are also other contents featuring me, some troll also that you might be interested in. You'll get the links afterwards. I forgot to open my speaker notes, so just give me a second for that. You're on the wrong thing, right? Okay, so DevOps. Okay, we could write a book about DevOps, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to say in the context of this talk, it's developers and system operators and network operators sharing a goal to deploy features, right? Code. We typically have persistent deployments. That's a deployment that's going to stick around over time, like a production deployment, for example, something that is expected to be up all the time. And we've got then something I call extreme DevOps. It's when the code traditionally known as network and infrastructure operation automation meets continuous integration and merges with continuous delivery to make it also trivial to deploy per branch ephemeral deployments on every Git push, for example, on branch name.ci.example.com or something like that, so that the product team can review a feature during development without forcing the developer to merge unfinished patches into the master branch. And that keeps the master branch clean and deployable at any moment, which is great because, you know, one of the best things in softwares is to be able to do deployments in 5 minutes or something like that, so that you can push hotfixes at any time. So the goal here of eXtreme DevOps is to deploying patches before they are merged automatically. This introduced the concept of ephemeral deployments. Initially, I was introduced to that concept by GitLab CI, which has review deployments, and they have the auto DevOps feature that works great with Kubernetes and provides that out of the box. But what I figured out is that, well, you don't need Kubernetes to enjoy this kind of feature. So ephemeral deployments, they don't persist any data on the drive, and they're not meant to stick around. They're meant to, you know, be deleted when the branch is merged. So why not Kubernetes? Well, in practice, when in projects where 99.9% of uptime is plenty enough, then we don't really need high availability layers to keep that promise, because, you know, a single server can be up all the time, or at least 99.9% of the time, pretty easily. You just don't have to break it, and make sure you do the system upgrades. So here, no need for Kubernetes, no need for high availability. If your project becomes like so popular and useful that you really need more than one single server, I mean, that's a problem you want to have. But if you don't, then you might want to skip the time you would spend setting up Kubernetes. And also, if I use Kubernetes, I will use it on bare metal servers and administrate it myself, because I think I get much better value from dedicated servers than when I rent Kubernetes clouds from other providers. I mean, I've worked myself in such providers, so I want to provide it for myself. So when 99.9% of uptime is plenty enough, I don't need HA. Sorry if I pardon my French accent on the A. This might, you might hear it sometimes, because we say A like A. So sometimes that might, you might hear that. So why Traefik? Well, I was using NGINX proxy because I was using NGINX a lot, but the problem is that it generates an NGINX config by parsing the list of Docker containers, and generates an NGINX config. So if one of the containers contains wrong value in a label or environment variable, this will create a config that has a syntax error, and then all the websites on the server will be down. So like NGINX proxy, really a great idea, but unfortunately, NGINX was not really meant for that kind of usage, because it doesn't isolate the configuration of each service. We're gonna have a plan for like small projects based on 2 servers. CI server for starter. We always want to work on the CI server before we do anything in the production server, and production server where we're gonna send live customers and ensure the life cycle of this little setup. We're going to want to aim for reproducibility in our system architecture. That means that we don't want to run commands manually on either our CI or production servers. We always want to rather make a script that we will run on the staging CI server, and when that works, run it on the production server, to ensure we don't do a human mistake while copying commands. So if you're going to use your own dedicated servers, you're going to have to wonder a bit about partitioning. My favorite partition really is the varlib Docker partition. I always do a better FS partition there to enjoy the copy on write and have much faster Docker and more space efficient Docker on the server. Home partition, this is where I'm going to put, of course, all human user home directory, but also all projects deployments such as test, staging, productions, whatever. So I will, you could use like /srv or /data, but I think everything fits well into /home, and well, I can still reinstall the system and keep the /home partition if I need to. Without losing the data. So that's pretty nice. Of course, you need the root partition. Well, I mention it because I don't need a /boot partition. I'm just going to boot the default Linux kernel that comes with the distribution. It probably shows the config in /proc anyway, so I wouldn't benefit from not having it /boot mounted. And most likely 20 gigs is going to be plenty enough. 5 gigs should also work if you run only everything in Docker, because the data is going to accumulate only in the valid Docker and home partitions. You want swap partition, of course, because you want some disk time before you can't SSH to your server anymore when memory becomes insufficient. And in production, you might want backup partition that would be on different red array, so that you know your backup operations that you want to automate daily, and also during the deployment process. I like to have automated backup prior to applying any deployment in production. This has saved me a few times when I did some migration scripts that broke my production data. I was happy to just be able to put it back to the point where it was just before deploying that new version. So I'm going to choose a server size with sufficient space for 6 months of production, based on traffic estimates and things like that. Should be able to reinstall a server in about 30 minutes. And if I'm restoring from a disaster, I should have definitive ETA after 30 minutes. Like, my file copies would be in progress from a remote backup site, and I would be able to know how long it's going to take before I can fix my disaster recovery. So we're gonna, go ahead and talk about how this works in GitLab CI. In this example, we're gonna show how we do persistent deployment. So we have the job name in the pipeline, and this key is a standard GitLab CI. You might know it. If you don't, check it out. It's pretty cool. It allows you to define that and that this job is deploying an environment, and in this case, staging, and on staging.ci.yourproject.com. Okay, and then you can put your scripts and usual configuration deployment code, which we're going to see later on. But you see that this is going to show some extra information on the GitLab page. You can see that job pull request is deploying on some environment, and you can get the environment list, which is also pretty nice. And then we have the concept of review deployments that I can quickly mention earlier. So review deployments, pushing to branch deploys a new ephemeral environment which will not persist after a reboot of the server. It should self-destruct at some point to not fill up the server. And typically we're going to use like the branch name and generate a domain with that. So you can see how by trying to do this, Traefik is going to be the best load balancer you can find at this time, and probably in the near future and distant future as well. So let's see how a review deploy works. It's pretty much the same, except that in the name and URL, we are going to use some variable like the name is going to be test slash the branch name, and it's contained in this variable in GitLab CI. And so this will put all the environments in a directory of the GitLab user interface, not an actual directory. But if GitLab is going to spawn a lot of deployments, then it's nice to have them kind of ordered in the per type, And in the URL, we're going to use also environment variable, and this is like the branch name. Actually, this one is not the branch name, but it's the name, but that's been changed to be URL safe. So if there is any underscore, for example, it will be replaced with a dash, so that it's going to work with the standard browsers and everything. And if it's an ephemeral deployment, well, that means we're going to want to destroy it at some point. So you can specify the name of another GitLab CI job in this variable on stop, and we'll see how this looks like. So pushing to the desktop branch here in this screenshot and opening a merge request, then we can see that GitLab knows it is going to do a deployment. Okay, so that's because we configured the jobs environment variable. And once it has indeed deployed it, run the job, you can have a link, and here we can see, we'll be able to demo that if we have time later on. I'm trying to speak fast, but I don't really know how long this is going to take. So you have a link, and you can send your friends to check it out and let you know what they think about it, or like your product team, of course, if you're in a corporate environment. And there's the stop job that's supposed to destroy your environment, and you would click here if you want the deployment to be destroyed. That's with the code you have in your own GitLab CI configuration for that job. So it may be useful to destroy and recreate a deployment. So for example, if you push the migration and you want to rewrite it, so the easiest way for that not to fail would be to recreate the environment. You could do it here, and so that you will get a fresh database when you redeploy, and the migration script that you have written will apply with the updates. Otherwise, this is going to be triggered anyway when you delete the branch on GitLab. So if you delete the source branch by clicking the button, it's going to start the stop job. Okay, and that should like destroy the environment. So let's try it out now and see how that looks like. I got like many examples. We're gonna start with the blog example because it's running Hugo. Hugo is a static site generator. It's pretty simple. You wouldn't really need Docker Compose, but you could still use it. For example, I'm going to change something, probably the title. Do we have a title here? Oh, we have a subtitle. I'm not sure we can actually see this. We can't. Is there anything? Oh, well, we can change menu items.
Can you increase the size of your font a little, please?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Sure. So we're going to edit this file in the branch and see how the ephemeral deployment is going to happen. Let's do it this in English. So I think like maybe if I change the menu item from blog to, oh, I targeted master. That's a bummer. That's a bummer. Somebody's gonna have to fix it. Probably me, because it's my fault. So I want to do it in another branch. Perhaps, yeah, the ID is not the best. The web ID is not the best to do this kind of things. We're going to be able to do that in the command line without any problem. Maybe I can change like change something more visible, like the title of the latest blog posts. Oh, that's untrack it. I forgot to advertise for this online meetup. Okay, let's try new title here. Okay, so I just break my GitLab instance right before the demo and was lucky to fix it. So we're going to open a merge request. I just want to fix my numbers first. Let's open a merge request. Where is my? Let's see, where do we have? I forgot where I sent the demo. There it is. So we're trying a new title on the latest blog post. This is what the blog currently looks like on the production URL. We'll say like the public one. So now it knows that it's going to deploy on another environment, and we can see the Traefik instance there. I think you just got the password, but we can change it later on. I'm doing some experiments with also load balancing SSH, because I'm writing another GitLab implementation. So we should be able to see the new deployments. Once it starts deploying, got to waiting. So waiting pipelines. My favorite activity while waiting really is playing blitz games on lightchess.org. But you could also, I don't know, do push-ups, pour yourself a drink. Well, I don't know, it's the morning for you in North America, so you probably want to go and make some coffee. Maybe it's even early for chess games for you. But what I'm not really sure. We have a build and Docker job here. That's pretty interesting. And the other thing is that we have the operations. Yeah, we get our environments there. Oh, we added some webpack in the blog content, so that's why it's going to take ages. Well, maybe a few minutes or something. So we can see that, you know, create kind of a directory, right? So maybe keep on with the slides and check on that later on. Did I forget to? I closed the slides. Let's find where we are. I think I did a last minute change and wanted to do the demo at the end, but apparently I moved it, especially so that it could like start working while we keep on talking about this. So ephemeral deployment lifetime. The thing is we saw that you could destroy a deployment by using the stop button, or by deleting the branch. But branches are not always deleted by developers, are they? I don't think so. They don't even think of destroying the environment, and I wouldn't either, so I'm not going to blame them. And that's why we need ephemeral deployments to have a lifetime feature that's not in Docker nor Docker Compose. So we're going to have to think a bit about this. So let's see how we do this. In this example, review deploy job, that's going to run during the deploy stage in GitLab. We're using an image that has already everything we need in there, setting up some SSH configuration. So that's pretty much boilerplate. Now we're going to run Ansible. Well, I use Big Sudo, which is a wrapper I did for Ansible that I like a lot, but you really don't have to. And it's really not recommended. You do probably at this point. However, the yourlabs.compose is an Ansible role that you can use without Big Sudo. So you could use it if you wanted to. We're going to do a deployment on Docker Compose that has a project name. And in this case, we're going to use the branch name, right? We'll see more about that later. And we're also overriding the default image for the Hugo service in the compose file with the image tag that we built in another job. So this is not a Docker Compose feature. This is really a feature from the Ansible role that we're using, which compensates for the Docker Compose things, limitations. And we added a lifetime. I added a lifetime argument. That's a lot of seconds. It means 7 days, right? And finally, the user and host, the deployment should happen. And the review stop job is going to do, well, pretty much the same, do the Docker Compose role, but instead of running the main.yaml task, it's going to run the done task. And same target host and same project. So this will make sure that deleting the branch in GitLab or running the stop job will delete the ephemeral environment. But at some point, well, the server disk is full because we kept on deploying ephemeral environments, not cleaning them. So you know what's going to happen? The server is going to be full, and like the pipeline is not going to work at all. Everybody's going to be blocked, and everybody's going to wait for you to fix it and not do any work meanwhile. So we got to do some manual cleaning. For that to work, we're going to ensure that the Docker Compose YAML file that is for ephemeral deployment does not auto restart anything. Okay, ensure that don't bind any file system directory, reboot the server, and run a Docker system prune with the volumes and everything. So that works fine. Do that once in a while or every Sunday night, I don't know. Not particularly fun, but works. What's fun is to automate it. And I'm not talking about adding a reboot in a cron. Okay, I mean, like really automate a proper cleaning of the server. For that, well, we're going to have to keep a copy of every deployed compose file in somewhere. I'd like to let it in the home directory of the user that deployed it, and compute removal date from the lifetime argument that were passed and store it, and then make simple cron scripts to delete all ephemeral stacks. And my Ansible role does that by default, but you can do the same without using the role. We're going to see how to do that. One thing to know is that if you do Docker compose in directory, it's gonna use the directory name as the project name, right? So if you're anywhere else, you can use -p arguments and you know, manage the stack that was deployed in the other directory. So I'm gonna have to store some of the ephemeral deployments information if we want to enable auto cleaning. So this is why, like, the your labs compose role is going to create a directory in the home and put the Docker compose YAML, the one that's been generated, because if you remember, we used a composed underscore Hugo underscore image equals .image tag. So the role actually generated the Docker compose file with the proper image name that we have overridden on the command line. And also, well, the file named remove@, for example, that contains the timestamp of the expiry date for this deployment. So, for example, the result is going to be that your deploy user is going to have a your labs.compose directory with the project name, the generated Docker compose, and the time to remove. Of course, if you didn't want to implement auto cleaning of the ephemeral deployments, you wouldn't need to do that. But if you want to have a cron script that's going to do it, first find the home directories and skip it if there is no compose directory. You know, if there is, enter it and find every project. And if the project doesn't have a remove@ file, then skip on to the next project. And if it does, well, check if the current timestamp is greater than the one in the remove@ file. Okay, because if it is, we want to enter that directory, delete the compose stack, and you know, then delete the directory and move on and do each of them. So that's one way to, you know, have a lifetime on a Docker compose deployment and have ephemeral deployments. If you don't have something like that, your servers are really going to have this full. I mean, the CI server is going to have this full at some point, which is maybe not big deal, but after a while, you want to automate it. Let's see how this is going. So apparently, I have a really slow DSL connection, so I'm sorry about that. Apparently, did do branch ephemeral deployment. You see, this is not the same. You can't really see it, I think, because the screen is going to be too small. I'm gonna maybe show it and zoom on it. So this is the URL it created. It's URL for that branch, and as you can see here, the latest post has a different title. It's not the same. It's not the same here. This is like production, like the real data, and this is the other one is the demo, where I changed the title in the branch. So if we merge it, we can stop it. That should like destroy the environment. I think I didn't set lifetime 5 minutes. It's still 1 week here. I have another demo project, but it's going to be too long to show in this for this time. But we can still check like the Traefik. We can see it. We can probably find that service. Okay, well, it's gone already. So we can see that, you know, Traefik is really in charge of the extreme DevOps action that's going on, at least here at your labs. And we have the same deployment systems also in other, for other customers, like the social security, or some non-profit organizations, or also startups in legal tech and fintech. And we're really happy with it. I mean, it's pretty funny because I saw that my blog was open like in 2012, and I had already migrated from Apache to NGINX, but it's been a couple of years that there's no article on NGINX anymore on my blog. It's all about Traefik now, because Traefik like never fails me. It's I can make mistakes on a service, and well, maybe Traefik will you know not be able to compensate and start my service because of my mistake, but at least it will keep all my other services up and running fine. So that's really well thought. At least we have like some proper isolation between the services in the load balancer, just like we have, well, isolation for using containers. So that's all for me. I got like some links I can send you, and some tutorials and things like that. If you an example, if you want to reproduce it on your own, feel free. And again, you know, if you think pipeline waiting is not an activity you really want to do, try to find some activities you can do while you're waiting for the pipeline, like bragging about how great Traefik is, or playing chess or something like that, or playing some music. You know, I have a piano right behind my desktop, so that also works. You can use a guitar, but if you're automating things, I think you're always going in the right direction. And for anything that's going to be on the network, I think like Traefik is really by far going to beat any other alternative you can find. Thanks a lot for watching. If there's any question, I'd be glad to try to answer. Otherwise, well, see you around on internet, IRC, and this kind of things.
Well, I'm going to pop in here and take your slides and put them in the chat box. And then I want to say to everyone who's here, thanks for coming. I haven't seen many of you, so I want to encourage you to one, ask some questions right now if you'd like. Also, let's see, we have something coming in. Dhruv, thank you for your note. Some good references, notes, and tutorials for understanding the system design and how to shift from Apache to your system. That's great feedback. Let us know if you need anything else on that. You can follow us on YouTube and then get notified right when this goes live. Otherwise, I'll be mailing it to you soon. Looks like Sammy says he learned a lot. Thanks, JPick. And let's see. Great, we got some Your Labs coming up in here. So that's all I have to say. That this will be recorded. And how can we get in touch with you, Jay? Do you want anyone to have that?
Yes, of course. Well, how to get in touch?
Questions on
like I don't really use it, but I think just like many person, clone one of my repositories, look at the commit logs, and there's my email in it. Otherwise, I can also leave you my email. There's a mailing list, actually a Google group for Your Labs, because Your Labs is an open source software brand since 2012, and it's free to register and ask anything, any kind of question.
Yeah, this is great. It seems like everyone really learned a lot from you today, James. So I like JPIC. I think it sounds very cool. So I just personally want to say thanks, and thanks on behalf of the attendees, and thank you attendees for coming. We hope you'll come to some Traefik online meetups, more of them in the future. And everybody stay happy, stay positive, stay safe, play chess, drink coffee, drink your liquor, whatever is suitable and makes you feel well on a constant. So until then, James, anything else, any parting words of wisdom for us?
Yeah, of course, my favorite. Deleted code is debugged code. And with Traefik automation, I could delete like really a lot of code. So thank you, Traefik, yeah, for that.
I love it. Traefik is in charge of the eXtreme DevOps. That was dope. Okay, cool. Well, then with that, I'm going to sign off. I think we can sign off, do a virtual fist bump if you're down with that, James. Boom. And take care of everyone over there in France where you have all that yummy cheese, wine, and everything. And thanks for coming, everyone. We'll talk to you soon. You can find me on Twitter, and you can figure that out. See you later. Thank you. Bye.